Now, you can watch all the TV programmes you like, you can read all the magazines and you can quote the manufacturer's statistics. But how do you actually prove that your shiny new sports car is quicker than Mr Jones's at number 36? Well, one way is in a 0 to 60 sprint. Now, I'm not suggesting you take part in an illegal road race. No, far better than that is to come here to Santa Pod, home of drag racing in the UK. 18 cars, 18 drivers, and they're all representing different manufacturers from throughout the UK, and they're all trying to prove 1 point. Who's the best at 0 to 60? So my mate Stevie here is going to tell us a bit more about the history of Santa Pod.
I am.
Fire away.
Yeah. Did you know that this place used to be a US Air Force base in World War II?
No, I didn't.
And it became a drag racing venue because all the Americans came along in their cars and hot rods and bits and pieces and Willis Jeeps and were whizzing up and down the airfield, and that's how it started as a drag racing venue. And now it hosts the biggest ones in Europe. So we thought, well, if we're doing a 0 to 60 test, we better do it here.
And the test was because everyone was lying and fibbing, weren't they?
They were.
Say, well, we've got it, we've got it.
They were being tinkers, really, and they wouldn't tell us the truth about who actually held the record. So we've got all the manufacturers together today to see who's going to set the best time.
So are we hoping to break any world records or anything today?
I think so, yeah. I think that we've got the perfect track for it, great conditions, great weather, and 19 of the fastest cars in the UK. So somebody should break this world record.
Have you got your money on any particular car?
Well, yeah, I think you've got to look out for two of them. There's a Dax, Quadra, which has got a four-wheel drive effectively, and that's quick. And then there's Chris Allenson and his Tiger Z100, and that's very fast.
Okay, well, we'll just have to keep waiting then and see what's going to happen. Now, all of the cars here are only one engine, and this car's a bit special. Chris is going to tell us why.
Yeah, it's basically a Tiger B6 chassis, which we fitted two ZX9R Kawasaki engines into. So it's actually got two motorbike engines in it, complete. And that gives us 300 horsepower, so it's quite a powerful car for the size of it. We drive it into a drive box which we manufacture, which takes the power from both gearboxes on the bike to the back axle. And it drives just like a normal car, really. You can't tell it's got two engines apart from the noise which it makes.
And the benefit of having two engines is that it's got more brake horsepower.
Yeah, that's right. It's like having two horses on the front of a cart, really. It's twice the horsepower. So
does that not make a difference when it comes to the weight?
Yeah, it's a little bit heavier, obviously, than having a single bike engine. But obviously that's compensated for by the extra power that it's got.
So there's not a problem with cornering and stuff like that? It's all accounted for?
Corners very well, yeah.
Wow, and do you use both the engines at the same time? Can you drive with just one?
You can drive with one engine, start one engine up, leave the other one in neutral and switched off, and it'll drive on one engine. And then you can be travelling along at 40 miles an hour, start the other engine up, click it into second gear and just blast off. And that's when you see
people standing.
Yeah, that's when you really see the benefit of two engines. The differences between like night and day, tremendous, yeah.
Fantastic.
I don't know of anybody else that's done it. It's been done in drag racing and other sort of fields before, tractor pulling, things like that. The Americans have done it quite a lot in tractor pulling events to get more power.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way. The engines are standard, so they're not stressed, so you can really give them a hard time, and the components are standard. If you blow an engine up, you just pull it out and put another engine in. So it's like throw it away engine time. So it's good.
And do you do this full time? Do you have another job?
I have a little full-time job. I'm a policeman by trade, so I go hello, hello, hello a lot.
So I can't help noticing there's two seats in this car. Any chance I could sit in and you could just talk me through the controls?
Of course you can.
Looks a bit like a cockpit of an aeroplane.
It is a bit like a cockpit of an aeroplane. There's plenty of dials and knobs and switches and things. Okay.
Right. What are these?
Right, well, because we've got two engines, we've got two gear levers. one for each engine. So if we want to run on one engine, we'll work one gear lever and start the right-hand engine and work along that, leave the other one in neutral. If we want to work the left-hand engine, vice versa. Both together, just grab the gear levers and work them together, just like a normal bike engine car.
Is it difficult to drive?
Not really. Most people that drive it, come out of it after a few minutes, sit and think about it, work it out in their head, go out, and then they never miss a gear and they're okay. You can miss a gear, but it doesn't make much difference really. Road legal, you can actually run the thing on the road. We did a 0 to 100 back down to 0 challenge here the other week for Autocar magazine, and we were the fastest thing here against Ferraris, Porsches, everything.
Really?
Yeah, I mean it's a fantastic thing. It goes from standstill to 100 miles an hour and back down to 0 again in 12.7 seconds. Most family cars would want to go, they'd be well impressed to get into 60 in 12 seconds, never mind to 100 and back down to 0.
What's the 0 to 60 in this?
This varies on the track conditions on the day and the tyres. On slicks, the best 0 to 60 time we've seen is 2.74, which is really, really good. But because it's such a powerful car, you've got to feel for the grip and the clutch, and it's a difficult discipline to get right, really. If you smoke the tyres, you just stand still.
Yeah.
It's spectacular, but you stand still.
Spectacular.
But don't spin the
Looks
wheels.
Good.
Looks good, not good.
Do you think I might be able to have a drive later?
You can have a ride in it.
Go on, go on.
I might let you drive it if you like, if you're nice to me.
Now, putting bike engines into cars is quite normal these days, but in 1998 it was quite unheard of. That is, until Steve came along. Steve, tell us, you were the first person, weren't you, to do this?
Indeed, in 1998 we produced a Honda Fireblade version of this car, which was launched at a show at Donington Race Circuit. Until then, this particular type of car had been produced mainly with conventional car engines, albeit tuned. But at that particular show, when we launched the car, it wiped the floor with everything that was there. And of course, all the questions were buzzing around, what's in it, what power plant is in it. As soon as the bonnet was lifted and it was revealed to be a motorcycle engine, then of course there was gasps of amazement that something as small as a 900cc motorbike engine could propel something like this at twice the weight of a bike at speeds up to 120 miles an hour plus, but with phenomenal acceleration.
I got to drive the Mega Booster. I found it incredibly difficult to start. Stalled it all the time.
It's obviously taking a bike engine, something in this weight, you haven't got very much torque from the engine. So it's not unlike driving a normal car. You have to get the balance of the clutch and the revs just right. But
the Mega Birds didn't have a problem with really in comparison, but I couldn't even get going in the
that's the Honda Blackbird engine.
Yeah,
we produced that one as well.
So what have you got then? The Fireblade?
This is the Honda Fireblade. We do the Honda Blackbird, Suzuki Hayabusa, Kawasaki ZX9, ZX12, and we're just about to build a car with a Yamaha R1 engine.
So you think there's more improvements?
Oh yes, I mean, as long as the bike manufacturers keep on producing bigger and better superbike engines, then we've always got a source of power to rely on.
Fantastic,
and
so it doesn't have to end here. There could be more.
Yes.
You may have noticed that all the cars here look quite similar in design, but they're all different in their own unique way. Andy, what is this car?
This is a Caterham 7. It goes back to Colin Chapman, the Lotus days. There used to be a Lotus 7 that he invented, and in 1973 we bought the rights off of Lotus, and we now produce what's called a Caterham 7. This actual model is an R500, which holds numerous world records for fastest car around the Nürburgring. I mean, it's an electrifying car. 0 to 60 in about 3.3 seconds, so it goes all right.
Oh my God, what's the top speed on it?
Top speed on this, with a windscreen, it drops down to about 135. With the optional aero screen, we're talking just under 150.
Oh my gosh.
It's 230 horsepower, it's around about 450 kilos. So the actual name R500 comes from it has over 500 horsepower per tonne. So as power to weight goes, it's about as good as it gets.
You love this car,
I love this car, it's a passion.
So why Caterham here today?
Well, it's a day organised by Sports Car magazine, and what they've done is collected together a lot of specialist manufacturers to see who can actually achieve the quickest 0 to 60 time. So here we are at Santa Pod. We all line up on the start gantry and see how fast we can go. And we've got other makes here. We've got AC here. We've got Lotus here. We've got Grinnell here. We've got lots of other specialist manufacturers all trying to do their bit.
So we found a really interesting car here called a Champ car, which has flown in from America for a special driver, Nigel Mansell, to have a go in. And now we have Dan, new up-and-coming driver. Dan, tell me a bit about this car.
Well, for a start, it's very, very fast. It has around 900 horsepower. I mean, Ford wouldn't tell you exactly.
900?
Yeah. So it's certainly very fast, and it's very light as well. So the power to weight ratio is fantastic. I mean, under acceleration, it'll do 0 to 60 in like under around 2 seconds. It's a fast car, but it has the downforce as well, so it can carry a great amount of speed through the corners.
What's the top speed you can get out of this?
Well, in the configuration it's in now, you could probably get around, I'd say 250 mile an hour in speedway trim. Obviously on a road course you will put bigger wings on, and that obviously slows the car down, but in speedway trim you could definitely reach 250.
250. What's your opinion of the track? Is it
fantastic? I mean, an oval normally would only have 2 corners, but this oval has 4, so it makes it extra challenging.
Right.
I obviously am based in America and race in America, and those ovals pretty much do have just 2 corners. And when you race on an oval that has 4, it like doubles your workload, if you like. It makes it so technical, not only for the driver but for the engineer also. So it's great. It's a fantastic venue.
So you've just come back in the car, which is why these guys are working on it, is it?
Well, I didn't break it actually. They're just getting ready to fly it back to America. Obviously, it is this year's spec car, so they'll be preparing it for the next drive.
What sort of preparation do you have to do to be able to drive these? I mean, the speeds are astronomical, aren't they?
Yeah, I
Do
mean,
you have to be physically fit, do lots of training.
Yeah, I have a personal trainer in America that I work out with.
right.
Yeah, 6 days a week. The other day I have to work out on my own. I give him Sunday off. So,
Give him Sunday. So do you concentrate more on CV stuff or weight training as well?
No, it's both. Like my normal schedule would be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday would be weight training, and then the other day is cardio. You're driving the cars around on an oval like this at in excess of 200 mile an hour, pretty much every lap.
For an hour?
Yeah, well, for two and a half hours if you obviously in a champ car. So you need to be physically fit, mentally very strong, and so does your team that's behind you.
Yeah, and you also have to be little, as I found out when I'm trying to get in these cars. African bums aren't really conducive to being a car driver.
You could get in if you persuaded them enough. They'd let you sit.
Really? Do you think?
You work on this guy a little.
Right, I'm off to work on this guy then. Perhaps I should have gone on a diet first. Less pink cakes.
Yeah. No, like if you need like any.
I don't think my bum's big enough. I think to adjust the car to make room for African rum. Whereas Nigel Mansell got a big bum too. No, that's fine. So I'm not actually writing it properly, am I? Oh, I see. No, it's a bit like a jelly mould, isn't it? But Well, I've come to Edenbridge to interview a 19-year-old racing driver called Tom, who tells me that he races BMWs. But looking at this, I'm not quite sure this is the car he uses because it looks a little bit standard to me. Hello, Tom.
Hi, Jane. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
All right.
Now, you tell me you race BMWs, but I find it hard to believe this is the car that you actually
Brad,
use.
that's just a road car at the moment. It's only a 320 diesel, so
Only.
yeah.
So what cars have you raced before then?
Last year I raced an Alfa Romeo. That was a 156 in the British Touring Car Championship, and the year before that I raced a single-seater called a Formula Renault Sport, which looked a bit like a miniature Formula One car.
Fantastic. And you started off karting?
Yeah,
didn't you?
that's when I was 10 years old. Yeah, started racing cars until I was about 16.
Yeah.
So I was a bit of an old starter, believe it or not, because the rest of them
Because
started.
a lot of karters start really tiny.
Yeah,
don't they? Quite young.
helmet on legs, you know, tiny. So about some people that I know and I used to race against started when they were about 6 years old. So
Yeah.
really
You
little.
felt like an old man then.
Well,
didn't you?
yeah, I did.
So then you made the progression into the Formula One type car.
Yeah, it's,
At
you know, it's
16.
a lot slower than a Formula One car, but yeah, I won the British Karting Championship when I was 16, and then I moved up into these single-seaters, which is quite a natural progression for
Yeah.
most people from karts. So.
But it sounds like you've made the progression from karts to the Formula One type thing to the touring cars quite quickly in comparison to other drivers you're racing against now.
Yeah, it has happened quite quick actually, yeah. A lot of them stay in the formulas a lot longer than I seem to have done, so yeah, I've been very lucky to be where I am at the moment.
So do you, I mean, I know you feel lucky, but do you sometimes feel that you could have done with a bit more experience in...
Yeah, against people I'm racing against at the moment, some of them, I mean, as I said earlier, one of them's an ex-Formula One driver, so
Yeah.
and we've got some other people who have been racing GT cars and Le Mans and what have you for a long time. So
That's quite an achievement, isn't it? To be 19 and been racing for, what, 9 years or so, and be racing alongside Formula One drivers who've probably got loads more experience than you.
yeah, I feel a bit silly when I look at my CV and their CV. But
Well, I don't know that it should be silly. I mean, I think that's quite an achievement, actually, because by the time you've got a few more years under your belt, you're going to be leaving them for dust, aren't you?
well, what's the plan? See how it goes.
So what have you got different in your other BMW compared to this?
Okay, well, it's actually totally different to my road car. Obviously, it's got a petrol engine. The whole thing's totally stripped out inside. The suspension's very different. Gearbox is different. Obviously, you can't see inside that. So,
I think we need to go and have a
Yeah,
look at it.
it'd be much
actually, 'cause
easier.
I can't quite picture the difference. So I was quite impressed with your diesel. What's the brake horsepower on that?
it's only about 110 brake horsepower. So, I mean, my race car here has got 250 brake horsepower. It's a lot faster.
Little different.
Yeah,
0 to 60 in this would be.
it's probably around 4 seconds, I would have said. So, quite
Not
good
bad,
fun. No,
yeah.
not at all.
So this is exactly the same car, is it? Just with a few modifications?
As you can probably see, it's very different. It's totally stripped out inside. Okay, you've obviously got racing steering wheel. The seats massively lower,
Yeah.
so you sit as low as possible and as far back as possible for the lower centre of gravity. Makes the whole handling a lot better of the car. It also runs on slick tyres, because it's different to obviously a road car that runs on treaded tyres. Your slick tyres are made for the dry. You do put them on for the wet, but they give you more grip in the dry once they're up to temperature. Engine is still a standard block like you would find in a BMW V6 and everything, but inside, which you can't show you at the moment because it's all intact, is incredibly different, so, and a lot faster.
So did you kind of get the basic shell, like the car that we were in earlier, and then do all these modifications, or did you get this already kind of done?
We
a bit?
actually bought this from another team. It used to be an endurance racing car and it was already like this, but as you can see, the shells do look like that when they're brand new. And as you can see, the mechanics there faithfully building it up a new one. So,
Go on, keep going.
so he'll be here until God knows what time tonight.
Oh, bless him.
Okay. And the boot, obviously, you can see it's totally stripped out as well, and the fuel cell's actually as far to the middle again of the car, so the fuel cells, you can't really see it that well. Another difference also, instead of where your fuel would normally go, it's actually got an air jack at the back here. All you do is plug in a big bottle of gas or air, as it were, and it lifts the car up in the air, and it just makes it a hell of a lot easier to change the
Makes
wheels in the
pit
pit lane.
changes a
Yeah,
bit quicker.
a bit quicker rather than trying to jack the whole car up. So it's quite a good little device.
So when's your next race?
It's actually in the 1st and 2nd of July. It's out in Hungary, Budapest. So we're looking forward to that. It's a nice
You're
place to
quite
go.
confident?
Yeah, I think it'll be good. We've got 3 days testing beforehand down in Wales, so we're going to go down there and run through a lot of things on the car and hopefully improve a lot.
Oh, good
So,
luck.
yeah, should be
And
good.
we've got something in common, haven't we? Because
Yeah.
I raced with Jason Plato in the British rally car championships in Silverstone.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do anything. I was just like a co-driver. But you were his team
at the start.
mate.
Yeah, at the start of the year, I actually signed for Vauxhall to race in the British Touring Car Championship, only for a brief while, through to a bit of a commercial decision. But yeah, so I've known Jason for a little while now.
So I imagine that your body takes quite a bit of battering when you're in these cars.
Yeah.
So you've got to have this seat, you know.
We've got like a high seat, as it were. The steering wheel's actually very close to you, just to make it easier on your arms when you turn the steering wheel, because the steering's very heavy when you're driving around. Neck muscles take a bit of battering, G-forces and that. Obviously, again, not as much as a single seater, because you're out in the open a bit more. And it gets ridiculously hot in there at times.
Does it?
Yeah.
So
Very,
you've got to
very
be
warm.
nice and fit, just like us gladiators.
Exactly, yeah.
Can I get in? And
Yeah, if you just take the steering wheel off first, just pull back on the black bit. That's it, I'll hold the door for you, sorry. That's it. You might struggle, you're a bit taller than me.
I like that term taller and not bigger. What most people tend to...
Gentleman.
Oh,
Grab a steering wheel. It's not easy.
it's not, is it? Is it both feet first, like
Yeah.
Dukes of Hazzard?
Yeah,
Both feet first.
that's it.
Okay. Aha.
Slide yourself down. Oh, we've got windscreen wipers going. Okay, and then you literally just try and line the steering wheel up and slide it on.
God, half the battle's actually getting in this.
Yeah, I know. It's almost on. It's actually very hard to line up.
Because there's not much room for movement in here, is
No,
there?
you're nice and safely strapped in, so you don't want to be going anywhere.
Snug as a bug in a rug.
Indeed. Yeah.
Well, thanks very much for the chat, Tom.
No
It's really
problem.
good chatting with you. And good luck for your series.
Thanks a lot.
for Racing.
Cheers.
It's too grippy here.